the lunch she never ate. The bell above the restaurant door chimed softly as the morning rush began to fade. Sunlight filtered through the dusty glass windows of Maple Street Diner, painting warm rectangles on the worn wooden floor. The place wasn't fancy chipped plates, mismatched chairs, and the smell of coffee that never quite left the air, but to many, it felt like home. Behind the counter, Emily Carter tied her apron tighter around her waist. It was pale blue, freshly washed but already stained from years of honest work. Emily was 24, slender, with tired eyes that carried more stories than her age suggested. She had been working here since she was 17, first to help her sick mother, then to survive on her own after life took everything else. "Table 3 needs refills," the cook shouted. "I've got it," Emily replied, forcing a smile. She moved quickly, her steps practiced, her hands steady despite the emptiness gnawing at her stomach. It was nearly noon. Her lunch break was supposed to start soon. She wouldn't be eating. Outside the diner, just across the street, sat 3 children on the curb. They were there almost every day. Emily noticed them the first week they appeared, 2 boys and a girl, all under 10. Their clothes were worn thin, shoes too big or too small, faces smudged with dust and hunger. They never begged loudly. Never caused trouble. They just waited. And every day, Emily watched them from behind the glass. She remembered the first time she packed an extra sandwich. It had been her only meal that day. The choice no one saw. Emily slipped into the narrow staff room and opened her locker. Inside sat a brown paper bag, 2 slices of bread, a boiled egg, and an apple. Simple. Cheap. Enough to get her through another double shift. She stared at it for a moment. Then she folded the bag carefully, tucked it under her arm, and walked out the back door instead of sitting down. The alley smelled of rain and old cardboard. Emily crossed the street, her heart pounding for no reason other than fear of being seen. Not because it was wrong, but because she didn't want praise. "Hey," she said softly. The children looked up, startled. The youngest girl clutched her knees. "Are we in trouble?" Emily knelt in front of them. "No, sweetheart. I thought you might be hungry." She handed them the bag. For a second, none of them moved. Then the older boy took it gently, like it might disappear if he grabbed too fast. "Is this for us?" Emily nodded. They didn't say thank you right away. They opened the bag, split the sandwich into 3 uneven pieces, shared the egg, and passed the apple around like a treasure. Emily stood, smiling, even as her stomach twisted painfully. "I'll see you tomorrow," she said. And she meant it. The man at table 7. Inside the diner, a man sat alone at table 7. He wore a charcoal gray suit that probably cost more than the building itself. His hair was silver at the temples, his posture straight, his presence calm but commanding. The kind of man people noticed without knowing why. His name was Jonathan Hale. To the world, he was a billionaire: real estate, tech investments, charities with his name carved into stone walls. To himself, he was just a tired man who had learned long ago that money could buy silence, but not peace. He had come to Maple Street Diner on a whim. His driver had taken a wrong turn. Jonathan told him to wait. From his seat, Jonathan had a clear view of the window. He saw Emily leave the diner. He saw her cross the street. And he saw everything else. He watched as she handed the food to the children. Watched their faces change. Watched her walk away without waiting for gratitude. Jonathan didn't touch his coffee. For the first time in years, something tightened in his chest. A kindness repeated. The next day, Jonathan returned. Same table. Same coffee. Same waitress. Emily didn't recognize him as anything special. To her, he was just another customer, polite, quiet, good tipper. She didn't know he had rearranged a board meeting to be there. At noon, she did it again. Brown paper bag. Quiet steps. Same children. Jonathan watched. The third day, too. By the fifth day, he stopped pretending it was coincidence. He called the manager over. "What's her name?" "Emily," the man said. "Good kid. Never late. Never complains." Jonathan nodded slowly. He watched Emily laugh with customers, wipe tables, apologize for things that weren't her fault. He noticed her hands slightly rough, nails trimmed short. Hands that worked, not posed. And every day, without fail, she gave away her lunch. The weight of silence. On Friday afternoon, rain poured down hard. Emily hesitated. She stood in the doorway, lunch bag in hand, watching the street flood with water. The children weren't there yet. Her stomach growled. Just today, she thought. Just today, maybe I'll eat. Then she saw them running toward the curb, soaked, shivering. Emily didn't think anymore. She grabbed an umbrella, crossed the street, and sat with them under the awning, shielding them as best she could. Jonathan stood up. He didn't know why his legs moved before his mind did. He grabbed his coat, walked outside, and stopped a few steps away. Emily looked up, startled. I'm sorry, sir," she said quickly. "I'll be right back." Jonathan raised a hand. "You don't need to apologize." The children stared at him with wide eyes. Jonathan looked at the lunch bag in Emily's hands. "Is that yours?" Emily swallowed. "Yes." "And you give it away every day?" Her voice was barely audible. They needed more. Jonathan felt something crack open inside him. "When was the last time you ate lunch?" he asked. Emily didn't answer. She didn't have to. A question that changed everything. Jonathan crouched down so he was eye level with the children. "Do you all have somewhere safe to sleep tonight?" The older boy hesitated. "Sometimes." Jonathan nodded. He stood, looking at Emily again. "Would you allow me to help?" he asked. Emily frowned. "Help how?" "By doing what you do," Jonathan said quietly. "But on a larger scale." Rain soaked his suit. He didn't care. Emily looked at the children. Then back at him. "I don't do this for attention." "I know," Jonathan replied. "That's why I'm asking." For the first time in years, Jonathan Hale wasn't offering money. He was asking permission. The test of a gentle heart. Emily stood frozen in the rain, umbrella trembling slightly in her hand. The man in the soaked suit didn't look like someone who made empty promises. There was no pity in his eyes, only respect. That unsettled her more than sympathy ever could. "I don't need help," she said carefully. "And neither do they, not like that." Jonathan smiled faintly. "That wasn't my question." The children watched them silently. The youngest girl clung to Emily's apron as if it were a lifeline. Jonathan straightened and took out a business card, holding it between two fingers. "If you change your mind, call me." Emily didn't take it. "I won't," she said. Jonathan nodded, as if he expected that answer. He placed the card gently on the curb instead, stood, and walked back toward the diner. Emily exhaled shakily. She had no idea she had just refused one of the most powerful men in the city. A life behind the smile. That night, Emily returned to her tiny apartment. The lights flickered as she turned them on. The place smelled faintly of detergent and old books. One chair. One table. A mattress on the floor. She kicked off her shoes and sat down slowly, exhaustion finally catching up with her. She thought about the man's question. "When was the last time you ate lunch?" She couldn't remember. Emily opened a small wooden box under her bed. Inside were hospital bills, a faded photograph of her mother, and a folded letter written years ago. Her mother's handwriting. "Kindness will cost you, Emily. But don't let the world convince you it's too expensive." Emily closed the box, tears slipping down silently. She didn't know Jonathan Hale had spent that night awake, staring at the city skyline, thinking about a waitress who gave away everything she had and asked for nothing. The unexpected offer. The next morning, Emily arrived at work early. The manager pulled her aside. "There's a man asking for you." Emily's stomach tightened. Table 7. Jonathan stood up when he saw her. "I didn't think you'd come back," she said. "I didn't think you'd talk to me," he replied. She crossed her arms. "I meant what I said. I don't do this for money." Jonathan nodded. "Then we agree on something." He slid a folded newspaper across the table. The headline read, "City Shelter Shuts Down, Dozens of Children Displaced." Jonathan tapped the article. "Those kids outside? They're part of this." Emily's breath caught. "I know." "Good," he said softly. "Then you also know that one lunch a day won't save them." Her jaw tightened. "It saves today." Jonathan smiled. "That's exactly why I'm here." He leaned forward. "I want to fund a program. Meals. Schooling. Shelter. But I won't do it without someone like you." Emily laughed bitterly. "Me? I'm just a waitress." "No," Jonathan said. "You're proof. The test." Jonathan didn't offer a check. Instead, he offered a challenge. "For 1 week," he said, "I'll come here every day. I'll watch. If I see even once that you stop caring when no one's looking, I walk away." Emily stared at him. "You're testing me?" "I'm protecting them," Jonathan replied calmly. "Money attracts the wrong hands." She thought of the children. Cold nights. Empty stomachs. "Fine," she said. "Watch all you want." Jonathan stood. "Then I'll see you tomorrow." A week of truth. Jonathan didn't miss a single day. He watched Emily give her lunch away even when she was dizzy from hunger. He watched her slip extra napkins into the children's pockets so they could clean their hands. He watched her scold a customer who spoke harshly to one of them. He watched her cry quietly in the storage room after finding out one child had been beaten for stealing bread. Emily never once asked Jonathan for help. And that broke him. The revelation. On the 7th day, Jonathan arrived with another man, tall, nervous, carrying a leather briefcase. Emily frowned. "What's this?" Jonathan took a breath. "Emily, my name is Jonathan Hale." She blinked. "Okay? I own this building. This block. Half the city you walk through every day." Her face drained of color. "I didn't tell you because I needed to know," Jonathan continued, "if you would still choose kindness when power wasn't involved." Emily felt dizzy. "Why me?" Jonathan's voice softened. "Because you never once asked who I was." He gestured toward the children. "I want to open a foundation. But I want you to run it." Emily stepped back. "I can't, I don't have education, experience." "You have integrity," Jonathan said firmly. "That's rarer." Tears streamed down Emily's face. For the first time, Jonathan added quietly, "I want my money to mean something." A new beginning. 2 months later, the Carter table opened its doors. A community kitchen. School center. Safe shelter. Named after Emily's mother. Emily stood at the entrance, watching the children eat warm meals at real tables. Jonathan stood beside her. "You changed everything." Emily shook her head. "No. I just shared lunch." Jonathan smiled. "Exactly.